Population Day. Every year, the United Nations commemorates this day on the 11th of July by really focusing attention on the urgency and the importance of population issues. This year's theme is family planning, empowering people, developing nations. But to tell us more about this day, we joined from our studios in Hatfield and Pretoria by Dr. Esther Muia, who is the United Nations Population Fund's South Africa representative. Dr. Muia, good morning to you and thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me over.
All right, just before we begin anyway, what is the official United Nations statistics on the human population? How many are we on this planet?
Okay, right now we are just over 12 billion on the planet.
Sure.
And we are growing at rather a fast speed.
All right. Now, the World Population Day and this year's theme, of course, family planning, empowering people and developing nations. Talk to us about this theme.
Okay. I think what's important is to realize that family planning is actually an investment for development. And the fact that for women to reach their full potential and be more economically productive, the women and couples must be able to exercise their right to decide from themselves whether, when, and how often to have children.
All right. But how many people...
And this is how we are empowering people.
Now, how many people actually get access to this family planning, whether it's, by way of contraceptives or actually sitting down your partner to have a look if both of you can afford a child?
Okay. In South Africa, at least half the people who need family planning are able to access family planning information and services. However, there's still quite a large proportion that would like to use the service but are unable to access it or use it for various reasons. And this then brings a challenge.
Yeah. And I was also reading some information that about 214 million women worldwide who want to avoid pregnancies are currently not using safe and effective family planning methods. Talk to us about that as well.
Okay. For the women who would like to access and are unable to access this service, globally, yes, it's a huge number like that. And in South Africa, we do have a few who are unable to access it. And this is what we refer to as unmet need for family planning services. And it is where we work with government to look at how can we make family planning services universally accessible for all. So take, for example, young women. Adolescents who are sexually active quite often are not able to access information or services to be able to make that decision. And we can see it as it is reflected in the high teen pregnancies that we do observe in a country like South Africa.
So are you basically saying that there's still lack of information in terms of the accessibility of contraceptives, for example, because we do know that we have clinics and healthcare centers all over?
Yes, we do have clinics and health centers all over. However, factors like the opening hours of some clinics do not allow, say, the adolescents who are in school to be able to reach out and be able to access these services. At times, the health workers are so overloaded because the opening hours are so short. On the other hand, the choice that's available, especially of long-term methods, limits choice. And when your choice is limited, then it's very difficult for you to be able to really have a large variety of where you can choose from. And this can also hamper uptake and use of family planning services.
But in terms of the myths that are associated with contraceptives, like a lot of people are of the view that if you are on contraceptives, you're going to start gaining weight, or you might have troubles in falling pregnant in the future if you want to have a child. How are they contributing, of course, towards this problem of the accessibility of contraceptives?
Myths and perceptions about the use of family planning are there, and that's why service providers are skilled to be able to counsel and advise and help clients and potential clients overcome some of the fears and some of the perceptions that are out there. And that's why it's so important, and I need to commend the government of South Africa for investing so much in training service providers to be able to help those who want to access services understand the pros and cons of the different methods. And the reality is that family planning does not stop you from future conception when you do desire to do it. And that's why all family planning methods, except for tubal ligation, are reversible. And of course, tubal ligation can be reversible, although it does take a little longer than the other methods. Whereas the other methods, you stop, and it's a matter of your hormones balancing again, and you're able to conceive when you choose to be able to conceive.
All right, now, Dr. Muia, we'll leave it at that for now, but thank you so much for talking to us here on Morning Live.
Thank you for sharing with us the platform.
Thank you so much indeed. Well, that's Dr. Esther Muia, who is the United Nations Population Fund's South Africa representative, talking to us about today being World Population Day. Of course, as she said, there is about 12 billion people on planet Earth. And I was also reading quite an interesting one where experts were basically saying that if Facebook were a country, it would be the third most populous in the world, with about 1.39 billion citizens logging onto Facebook, social media as a whole, every month. Let's take a break here on Morning.